AEW is about to make a critical mistake, and it has to do with the current structure of AEW Dynamite. Recently, due to NCAA March Madness, Rampage was moved to Wednesday night at 10 p.m., which meant it came on immediately after Dynamite and essentially made Wednesday Night Dynamite 3 hours long. And this, in a vacuum, is absolutely no problem. However, if this is indicative of a potential move to make Dynamite a 3-hour show, it would be a massive mistake that could potentially lose the company fans. And this is not just because we've seen this happen to Monday Night Raw from back in 2012 when they went to 3 hours permanently. Yes, Raw still gets great ratings. Yes, people still tune in. However, for a very large portion of the audience, especially part of the audience that they've lost over the past 10 or so years, that third hour of Raw really became a crutch. People did not want to sit there every single week and watch 3 hours of TV. It just isn't sustainable, especially in professional wrestling. And in my view, it would do a lot of harm to AEW because, number one, you'd be trying to fill 3 hours of television every single week. And that is not an easy job. It is not an easy task to do. They already have enough trouble, I think, filling out the 2 hours of Dynamite, the 2 hours of Collision that they do live, and adding another hour to that, especially to the flagship show, Dynamite, which has done so well in that 2-hour format over the past 4 years. I think for a lot of people, it would turn them off. And also, you have to look at it like this. One of the best things about AEW Dynamite in its current format is the fact that it's 2 hours, because it allows it to be around for long enough to be meaningful, to be must-watch TV, to be entertaining and captivating, but also it doesn't overstay its welcome. And I'd argue that Dynamite, especially over the past 6 months, has been a show that has not overstayed its welcome. This is a show that you can put on, have fun watching, and you're satisfied enough that you feel like your time was worth it, but also there's just enough of a desire to keep watching that leads you to watching Collision or Dynamite the next week. And that is a very special thing that has been missing from a show like Monday Night Raw for the past decade. You don't have that suspense of what's going to happen next week. You don't have that slight feeling of, oh my God, I can't believe the show is already over. And I think people forget how important that is, not just when you're watching professional wrestling, but when you're watching any television show. You need to have a bit of a cliffhanger. You need to have a bit of that feeling of, oh man, it's over, but I can't wait to tune in next week. And that is what makes Dynamite such a good show. And when you factor that in with the idea that they would be creating more television, they would have to write more TV, it would, in a way, restructure the way that AEW currently formats their TV. I just think it's too big of a gamble, because if it pays off, great. I'm sure Warner Brothers will be happy because Rampage right now is not doing well. Let's be honest. It is AEW's lowest rated show by far. It's a recorded show. It is basically a TV version of AEW Dark at this point, where a lot of their B-level stars are. However, there are other solutions to Rampage outside of just making it a third hour of Dynamite, like having it on a different night at a different time slot. Friday nights at 10 p.m. are not a good time for anyone to watch television, let alone professional wrestling. People go out, people do different things. So if the time slot isn't working, look to fix that. See if there's another time that works. Potentially 7 p.m. on the same night to lead into another show that people watch on Friday nights that has to do with professional wrestling. Now, of course, I understand that there are other stakes here. Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm sure, wants to make sure that that hour is as valuable as possible, and it would really make a lot of sense to just put it on with Dynamite from that standpoint. But as a fan, as people who watch the product week in, week out, I don't think it would be sustainable from a booking standpoint. Tony Khan has even said in the past that he does not want to do 3 hours of live television because he's seen what that does and he's seen how fans react to that, and it just would not work. So I'm someone who hopes that AEW does not make this mistake with Dynamite. I think you have enough time on TV, especially live time on TV, with Collision also being a live show, to highlight your talent without making it overkill. But I guess we'll see.